Hello, I'm Fort Worth Police Chief Neil Noakes. I'm here to provide you with updated information concerning an officer-involved shooting that occurred on July 5th, 2023, involving a Fort Worth police officer and a Fort Worth Fire Department arson investigator, who is a fire department employee trained and licensed as an armed Texas peace officer. On the evening of July 4th and into the early morning hours of July 5th, the Fort Worth police and fire departments were working together to proactively address illegal fireworks activity in the city. The Fort Worth PD officer and the arson investigator were working as a two-person team assigned to this detail and responding to fireworks complaints. At approximately 9:20 p.m. on July 4th, this team was dispatched to a fireworks disturbance call at the corner of Ross and 32nd Street, where there was a large block party going on. They spoke with the residents at the location about the disturbance, but did not observe active fireworks activity at that time. At around 12:25 a.m., this team was dispatched to a call in another part of the city, and on the way, drove past the block party at Ross and 32nd. Upon arrival, the officers observed an apparently injured Hispanic male walking away from another male holding a firearm. The officers got out of their vehicle and began walking toward the house at the corner, which was the location of the block party and the crowd. At the same time the officers were stopping to investigate, Fort Worth PD 911 dispatchers received a call from a neighbor about a disturbance with people fighting at the corner of Ross and 32nd Street.
Fort Worth Police on 054. What's the address you're calling about?
There's a block party on the intersection of Ross Avenue and 32nd.
Okay, Ross and 32nd?
Yeah, and there's a lot of screaming, crying. I think there's a big altercation. It's a big old fight.
Okay, yes, ma'am.
Oh my God, they just shot.
As the Fort Worth officer approached, a gunshot was heard, and a black male later identified as 21-year-old Billy Smith could be seen standing and pointing a firearm at what officers later learned was a Hispanic male on the ground next to an SUV. Perceiving an imminent threat to a third party, the Fort Worth officer fired his handgun at Smith, striking him multiple times. Smith fell to the ground.
Please get down!
At the same time this was occurring, the arson investigator, who was standing in the front yard to the officer's left, observed a second male later identified as 30-year-old Bronche Mentor with a pistol in his hand. The pistol had a weapon light activated which was shining in the direction of officers and the person on the ground. At this moment, officers heard two shots fired.
Please get down! Please get down!
In fear for the safety of himself, the Fort Worth officer, and others at the location, the arson investigator fired his handgun at Mentor. The Fort Worth officer also fired at Mentor. Mentor was struck and fell to the ground, dropping the pistol. He then got up and ran south and around the corner of the house to the west.
Sit down! Get on the ground now!
When the Fort Worth officer approached Smith where he had fallen on the ground, he observed a semi-automatic pistol and removed it, placing it on the ground behind him. The pistol that was dropped by Mentor can also be seen lying on the grass where he fell. Two spent shell casings matching the caliber of Mentor's pistol were found close by. Investigators also found a leather sap, also known as a blackjack, on the ground next to the pistol. The arson investigator moved to the corner of the house where he encountered a male who was shot in the leg and provided aid to him. During this incident, a Hispanic male was sitting on the curb next to the SUV. He appeared to have been injured. Later, investigation revealed that he had been shot, stabbed, and beaten. The male and a female then left the scene in a vehicle, but officers were able to make contact with them later. Additional backup officers arrived and began establishing control of the scene. Officers located 2 additional gunshot victims, a male and a female. An additional male was observed on scene with an apparent gunshot wound to the arm. However, that person did not remain on scene, did not identify himself, and investigators have been unable to locate that male. Once MedStar arrived, Smith was pronounced deceased on the scene. Mentor was transported to a local hospital and pronounced deceased at the hospital. It is important to emphasize that there is still much more information that we need to gather about this incident. Investigators are still attempting to locate and speak with several witnesses who were present that night but left before police could interview them, who we believe may be able to shed light on exactly what happened.